Welcome to the Family Oyibo podcast, where we talk about life, faith, family, and other random topics. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Family Oyibo podcast. My name is Sarah, and this is my dad, Isaac, and thank you for joining us. So for today, we're going to talk about childhood. Are you ready, Daddy?
It'll be very interesting indeed.
It'll be interesting.
Okay.
Yep.
So this year is talking about childhood.
After all these years. So we're going to compare our childhoods because obviously they're very different. I was born in the 90s and raised here in Iowa in the US, and you were born in the 50s and raised in Nigeria, which is a country in West Africa for people who might not know. So what's the earliest memory you have before you started school as a child?
Before I started
school? Well, in Nigeria, you start school early, don't you? You start school like around, 2?
Yeah, it's very different, obviously, we start school, early. Now, if you mean, obviously talking about elementary school, and so the question, what was it like before I started going to school?
Like your earliest, what would a typical day be like for 5-year-old or 4-year-old you, if you remember that far back?
Play.
Just play. What did you play with? What did you play with?
Play with friends. Just not toys. Not toys like those years way back.
Yeah.
They have opportunity of toys, like children have access to so many toys to play with today. So the option available was to play with friends, in the village, and so I played with friends. Just play, and then I think that was it. But I think around that age, I think I started going to school, elementary school, like you said. We normally start early.
Yeah.
So, and at that time I started elementary school as well, because we usually start early. Yeah.
Were there a lot of kids in the village? Like, did you just have tons and tons of kids to play with, or just a few?
There are a lot of kids, a lot of kids, and the family structure, of course, is different, and and the village, since a village, a lot of kids, and we're open to play with any one of the children, and usually beautiful weather all year round.
Yeah, so, no snow.
No snow. So that gives us opportunity, and play, either play in the evenings and nice weather, to just hang around, with other kids and just play.
What kind of games did you play? Did you play like jump rope or hopscotch or?
Jump rope? No, which ones?
Hopscotch is like where you hop on one leg and then the two legs one.
Oh yeah,
you did that?
I did that.
Oh my goodness,
I did that.
That must be an old game then.
I loved it.
You did?
I really loved it. When I started doing it, I missed it. And coming over here, and I said, oh, they have this type of game here.
Yeah.
That's what this game I played with when growing up back in Africa. Oh my goodness, that was so exciting to me. It's a small world.
It is a small world. It is. It really is. Did you do? I'm trying to think of other games I played. So I remember. I think as far back as 3 or 4. I remember that because we didn't start school until like around 4 or 5. I think it was 5. And my mom homeschooled us until I got to high school. So we were home, like, even though we'd started school, we were still home. So I remember when I was very little, it was just me and the sister who was born right after me, Rachel. So I remember, playing games at home. I remember playing outside, but we didn't have iPads. So we did a lot of playing like with our toys. We had toys as opposed to you. We weren't just outside all the time. Like when it was nice weather, we would ride bikes, play in the backyard. I think there was only one or two neighborhood kids. There weren't like a lot of kids in the neighborhood. So if we played with other kids, it was either at church or it was if we went to stay with random people while my mom was doing different jobs. Like she would drop us off with different families and we would play with the kids for a little bit and then come back home. So, in terms of being social, I don't think we were as social as you were as a child. At
Yeah, I
all, but
think living in the village with such number of children, yeah, really, it gave me
mm-hmm,
opportunity to socialize with other kids. So
mm-hmm.
in Africa, it takes a village, to raise a child. So it's
Is that where it comes from? The saying?
yeah, it takes a village to raise a child. So
Yeah, yeah, the social aspect of children here is so much different, and then culturally too, because growing up, we didn't know, there were some other African families that we knew, but going to church anyways, the church was mostly a white church. So the only other kids that we knew, I think it was only one family who had mixed kids. And then, the few African families that we knew that we'd see once in a while until you started the African church and we got to know more people until that time. But when we were very young, it's just like we didn't really know a lot of other kids who like looked like us either.
yeah,
So so that was different too. Because in the village, I'm sure like when you didn't have any white people in the village like at all.
no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah. So everybody
no.
had the same culture. Everybody,
Hmm.
you had people who looked and sounded like you and talked like you. And obviously we did too because, we grew up here in Iowa, but obviously like kids noticed. I think it was around the time we were maybe 7. A little girl at the church we were going to asked us why we were dirty because and she was like, "Don't you take a bath? Don't you take a bath?" And we were like, "What do you mean? We took a bath last night." And she's like, "Cause your skin, like it looks dirty." And that's when we realized we were like, "Oh, we're brown." Cause
Oh, what a
even though
discretion.
I know, cause even though, my mom is white and and you're black and all of us are brown, like we didn't really think about it when we were little. We just
Yeah,
didn't even think about it. We're like, this is normal. Like you're normal, my mom
yeah,
is normal, this is normal until we got older.
yeah.
Then moving on to your siblings. For siblings, you're the oldest of 8 and I'm the oldest of 4. What was that like being the oldest of that many siblings? Did you enjoy being the oldest or do you wish you were the youngest one?
It's I didn't really look at it that way. It's I
Mm-hmm.
didn't look at it that way. Being the oldest, of course, it goes with a lot of responsibilities. Sort
Mm-hmm.
of responsibility in the sense, that, that because I care about my siblings, being the oldest, that is the greatest
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities. Just caring and loving my siblings, and so I counted it as a blessing, being the oldest. So
Mm-hmm.
never did I think I wish I was the youngest. So
Like you felt like that was your duty and your responsibility to take care of them. So,
yeah, well, it's still the duty and responsibility of my parents, to
mm-hmm.
take care of them, of my siblings, quite right, because they were the parents. I
Yeah.
was not the parent.
Yeah.
So
Did you ever feel like a parent though? Like at least a
uh,
little bit? Or did you never
no,
feel
not
like that?
necessarily, but I helped out, where help was needed.
Yeah.
Um, um, in taking care of my siblings, also. So I help
Mm-hmm.
out, but much of the parenting and taking care, came from my parents, But
Mm-hmm.
being the oldest, usually, in a family that is, tight linked, and
Mm-hmm.
normally, you would expect some responsibility coming from the oldest, to the younger ones.
Yeah.
So normally, that happens, not taking the responsibility of the parents away, but
Yeah.
because being the oldest, what do I have, to take care of them anyway? I was still being taken care of by my parents,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they were still taking care of all of us. So I don't, but just do any little thing here and there where my parents would need help, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I try to be available, to help out.
And you
Yeah,
had a lot of extended family around too. And
yeah,
people just in the community, I think people kind of act like extended family
yeah.
anyways, even if you're not blood related, like you can still rely on other people to kind of help out
Yeah,
or
there's
jump
there's
in.
the extended family system. Then there is,
Mm-hmm.
of course, and neighbors. That was why I said a moment ago. It takes a village to raise a
Yeah.
child. So, you know, um, there's the extended family system. The extended, we're all, family related, quite all
Mm-hmm.
right. But then, you have your neighbors who might not have any link, to the family, but we are
Mm-hmm.
neighbors, and there's hardly any difference, and you just relate to your neighbor as though you are relating to a typical
Mm-hmm.
family member.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why the whole village, it's like we are like one family, basically,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um, a neighbor can, take care of your child, in your absence, while you are gone, for instance, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe your child is, straying or something needs to be corrected. A neighbor can provide such correction in your absence, and
Mm-hmm.
as long as the child is not being abused and all that kind of thing. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there is
That
that
relationship kind of.
relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and whether extended family or just your neighbor also, we just relate,
Yeah.
there's a cordial relationship,
Which is very different from here. It's
yeah,
like here people are a lot more isolated. So I remember, when we were younger, we would visit different families and we would, play with different kids and we'd know neighbors in the neighborhood, but it's not like we could just go to a neighbor's house at any time because, that would be rude if you just walked into a neighbor's home. Which is also confusing though, because, when we did have African families that were family friends and we would visit them and, stay with them, they would just be like, oh, we're all a family. And trying to
yeah,
like, when we were little, we were like, okay, so, okay, at this house, this is okay. At this house, this is okay. At this house, and trying to like figure out what's the difference
yeah. It
because
can really be confusing,
it
and it
was.
has the advantages and disadvantages in both,
In both
cultures,
cultures.
so it's yeah. For instance, here you can't just walk into a neighbor's house
Yeah,
like that
unannounced.
unannounced
Just
and
say,
say,
just
I'm
stop
here.
in,
Yeah,
just knock on the door and
just
say,
knock
I've
on the door.
arrived.
It's, that is considered
Yeah,
rude.
yes.
Back in my culture, you can just show up in a neighbor's house, and
Mm-hmm.
you are welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know, probably now in the era of the phone system, but
Mm-hmm.
in my early years where there were no phone system and all that, you can call. One thing here is that at
Mm-hmm.
least you can call, to let someone know that you
Yeah.
are coming, and they're really expecting you. But in
Mm-hmm.
my culture, there's not a phone system to make such a call. So
Mm-hmm.
what you do, you show up. You just show up there, unannounced. You just show up, and
Yeah.
you are welcome.
Mm-hmm.
If they are home,
Mm-hmm.
they welcome you, and and they are not offended. So I think it's part of the culture. But like you said,
Mm-hmm.
with the phone system now, I don't know whether all that has changed.
Yeah.
Whether now they
Yeah.
also have to make calls and set up an appointment before
Mm-hmm.
they show up.
Mm-hmm.
So there are advantages and disadvantage, just as things vary from culture to culture.
Yeah.
For neighbors, it's not that even though we relate very well, with our neighbors, quite all right. Doesn't mean that every time is all,
Yeah, not just there all the time.
just that you're not going to find neighbors who don't really like you, that kind of thing. So you're still going to find that happening. That you're going to be careful that you don't entrust your children into their hands, either, that kind of thing. So because human beings will still be human beings wherever you go.
Yep, we're the same everywhere.
If whatever culture you go, we are all human beings. We all have our deficiencies and also. So.
But going back to the phone system, because when I was little, obviously I kind of remember those phones with the circle dial, and then we upgraded to like the handset, and then we upgraded to cell phones. I think the first time I saw a cell phone was when you got one. I think when I was 8 or 9. And then, but back when we were little, obviously phones weren't a big thing in the 90s. Like if you were gone somewhere, you had to like know people's phone numbers because you couldn't just save them in a mobile device or anything like that. So, but obviously I grew up with more technology than you did because
of course. And Frederick is growing up now with more technology.
Yeah, my son has access to all of it. He knows what Wi-Fi is. I didn't know. The first time when I went to high school and they were talking about Safari in the library class, I thought they were talking about like the jungle.
Maybe Safari in Kenya.
I was so confused. I was like, what is that? But I don't ask questions because like ever since I was little, I just like to sit back and watch and just absorb what people are saying and then figure it out. And then if I absolutely have to, I'll ask questions. So I didn't ask questions until like a week or two later, and I figured out that was the internet. They called it Safari, like that was the name of the browser. So Frederick will never have to struggle with that. But for you, what? The internet really wasn't a thing until 90s?
Yeah. So
90s. Yeah, so you grew up without the internet.
Probably if that technology was there too, maybe it also would have affected, would have probably cut into the culture.
I think so.
That we had, which was very unique, of being able to relate, being able to talk to people and not relying on texting.
Exactly.
Not relying on texting, but really being able to talk to your fellow human beings and being able to socialize and having face-to-face interaction, so which somehow these days seem to be missing, with human interaction. So it did have the absence of that. Helped us, though the technology part of it to enhance the way we live our lives was absent, quite all right. But the human aspect of it, as it relates to the family and interacting with one another was very unique, and it's still unique to today.
Yeah, because a lot of kids are just like in front of screens so much that I've seen it too. Like when you talk to some kids, like they don't really, it's like they're not really interacting with you or making eye contact, or they feel really uncomfortable. but the flip side, what I do like about having so much technology is that you're exposed to just everything now. You have access to all kinds of people and cultures like all over the world, because on TikTok, it was interesting. There's this tribe, I think, down in South America, somewhere in South America. It's just this very, very remote tribe. And this young woman there started a TikTok account to just kind of share her daily life. And it blew up. And she has like millions of followers now. And I have to find her name. But people were like, this is so interesting because, if something like TikTok didn't exist, they would have never known that there were people living like that or people that had her culture somewhere in South America. You would have never known. Because otherwise, before the internet too, a lot of people thought that in Africa, just like everybody lives in huts. Because I remember when I visited and came back, people asked me that. Like if I stayed in a mud hut or something when I was there, and I had to tell them I stayed in like a 7-bedroom mansion, basically. And people couldn't
Yeah.
wrap their heads around it. That was like the early days of the internet too. So I mean, like we didn't all have cell phones, and people weren't just like searching places on their phones or seeing how other people lived in different parts of the world either. So
Yeah.
I like that piece of technology. I like that you just access to everything. But it's definitely impacted the way that people communicate.
Yeah.
It has.
And the
It really
technology
has.
is there now, and that's why I said things would have changed by now.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the technology also now, with the phone, with the internet, and
Uh-huh.
everything, things would have changed compared to when I was growing up many, many
Mm-hmm.
years ago when there was no technology. But I do hope that it doesn't take away that human touch, that
Mm-hmm.
we are so connected to, with the unique extended family system, and then that community, aspect of it, whereby we basically live in
Yeah.
community life, and relating to one another, to our neighbors and community, and also,
Mm-hmm.
that is very, very unique,
It is. It is.
in many aspects, relating to everything, we do. Everyone, they come together.
Mm-hmm.
When you came, when you visited, you saw how people came, how my dad, and that unique
Mm-hmm.
question of entertaining,
Yes. Uh-huh. The
guests,
mm-hmm.
and then what do you call it, a kola nut ceremony,
Yeah, the
that kind of thing.
ceremony. Mm-hmm.
But then you saw how other neighbors came around who were not
Yeah.
necessarily part of the extended family, but they were excited that you
Mm-hmm.
had visited, and
Mm-hmm.
the news had just gone out there, and then people just
Yeah.
flock in,
There
and
were
then
a lot of people
yeah, people just
there.
flock in, and then giving, bringing their own money and all that,
Mm-hmm.
putting it, in
Mm-hmm.
there to welcome you. So
Mm-hmm.
these are the hospitality that emerges from
Yes.
the community living,
Mm-hmm.
that hospitality, that kindness, that love, of relating to one another, is very, very unique. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why I say I hope technology does not take that away.
Yeah, it doesn't change that
Yeah.
completely. The good side of culture here is that people are really driven and it drives people, towards success. They can pursue careers, they can move around to all these different places and they can just like go, 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 go. Because that's the culture here is just like work, work, work. But then, there people express at least like in person or online that, there's a kind of isolation to that where you don't feel connected to people as much and you're missing like that love and that community aspect. So um I don't know, maybe that's why depression, like there's a lot of depression and people who just feel so just isolated here as opposed to other places.
It's not
But
that there are no depressions in
not that
places
there's
like
none, but
Africa.
I'm saying that there's a
Yeah,
lot here in the
yeah.
US. Like depression is huge, and especially in places where it's colder and darker. Because I came across a business once who needed some help with social media work. So I reached out to them to see if they would be interested in having me help them. And they told me that I couldn't work with them because I don't understand um, like the culture of the Pacific Northwest. And I was like, okay, well, I was interested in what that was. And they said, everybody up here, she was like, I don't want to say everybody is depressed, but she's like, but that's just kind of like part of the culture because it's dark, it's cold, people are isolated. So she was like, if I have you help me out with any kind of digital marketing or social media, she was afraid that I would create stuff that was maybe like too happy, I guess, or just out of touch with people, because she was like, you have to be compassionate because just like basically all these people are suffering in this area. And I was like, really, I've never heard someone generalize it like that. And she was an American, she was. And she sounded like her business had been in the Pacific Northwest for years and years. It's not like she was a new business. She was established. So I thought that was interesting. So I'd never heard that before. I never heard that.
Yeah,
But
it's anyway.
But I think we kind of went off on a tangent. Or I was gonna go somewhere before we got into that tangent. It was our personalities as children, because you were saying that, you know, you had all these people around to socialize with. So would you say as a child, were you an extrovert or were you an introvert? Or were you kind of like a mix of the two?
Maybe mix of the two.
Mix of the two.
Yeah.
We're so similar. I'm like your clone, I think.
A mixture of the two, I think so. You know?
Yeah, because you, I don't know, did it change? Like, were you extroverted as a child and then when you got older, did you become more introverted and then extroverted again? Or how would you describe it?
I don't know how to describe it. I know, along the way, I realize I'm a people person,
Yes.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I think I just realize I'm a people person and I've tried to keep it that way,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I said maybe it's a mixture of the two. But finally, I think eventually, and I think um, I love people. I'm a people person. I love to
You
relate to
do.
people, and probably that all started to right from my childhood, so
Mm-hmm.
probably it's not something that I just changed and maybe along the way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
I'm the same because as a child I was more extroverted, I think. And then when I got older, like getting around the middle school age, I got a lot more quiet. And that kind of had to do with homeschool though, just because like, you know, I would get made fun of because I didn't know what kids were talking about. Because I would just be home all the time. And, you know, kids, like, they have all these shows that they watch and things that they do at school, and they have, like, all these slang words. And, like, Rachel and I wouldn't know what the slang words were. Because I think for a while, like, cookie was a slang word, and we had no idea. And I still have no idea what that meant. But that was a slang word. Or tight, that was another slang word that we had no idea what that meant until someone explained it to us. So I became like super quiet, I think in middle school and high school, because I was like naturally I'm more extroverted, but I hated being made fun of. So I was like, well, if I just don't say anything, then nobody can make fun of me. So I was extremely quiet for a while, and I think after high school I kind of opened up more, and now I'm just like a mixture of the two. I don't know, because it's like I'm not the kind of person that likes to just like go out and party and be around people all the time. But if I'm like around a small group of people or just one person, then I like to talk and I like to interact with people and I like to socialize and I like to have like long conversations. I like that a lot. But you're the same way too. You don't party. Like you and I both don't do that. We don't just go out. We've
I
never
don't
done
party,
that.
but I reach out to people.
You do. Like you and I both like to have
Yeah,
like actual genuine connections with people. We
yeah.
don't like to just,
I reach out to people, and
yeah. You're
it's
good at that too.
it,
You're very good at
I don't
that.
party. Doesn't mean I don't mix up with people. If there's a party
Yeah.
going on there and I'm invited, I will show up there and I will interact with the
You
people.
will. You
You know,
will. You do more than I do.
yeah, and I will interact with the
And
people
I
and
mean like
also
party
so
party like I guess maybe in terms of like what young people would do.
yeah.
Like you don't You don't go out and drink, and you don't go to bars. You don't you don't do anything like that. No. But yeah, just the human interaction. You do that. You'll like dance, you'll socialize, you do that more than I do. I think especially since COVID, I've become more of a hermit. Really. As a child, what was your favorite thing to eat?
All kinds of food, not hamburgers.
Not hamburgers.
No, honestly, growing up, we didn't, there was nothing like hamburger. So, we didn't eat hamburgers.
No.
I had no idea what was even hamburger was. So we just ate the natural food right from the farm that my mom always prepared for us. So that was what we ate. Peanuts was for snacking.
Oh, you snacked on peanuts?
Yeah, snack on peanuts, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, peanuts was snacking. And then the type of peanuts is the one with the shell, you break the shell and also,
Did you call them peanuts or ground nuts?
Oh, we call it ground nuts. Well, I'm using the American word.
Yeah, you are. I was going to say. But it was the shell one? Then you cracked it open and took the peanut out?
Yeah. That was our snack. The rest of it was just naturally prepared food, from the farm. So now we ate nothing like hamburgers or fries.
When was the first time you had hamburgers and fries?
Oh, when I came to America.
So in the 80s, 90s?
Came to America in the
late 80s.
In the late 80s, and then I became in love with Burger King.
Oh, your Whoppers.
Yeah, my Whoppers. Yeah, my Whoppers.
And you didn't have candy as a child, or did you?
Yeah, I did, but not much. There were candies, but not much. That was one. I think for some reason, I stayed away from eating too much candy. I don't know why, as a kid, why I didn't. Maybe it was too
sweet?
Too sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I've heard that because here we're kind of desensitized to sweetness in a lot of foods.
Yeah, I think it was too sweet. I think that was So I did eat, but not as much. Because it was too sweet.
Yeah, for us growing up, I'm trying to think of what we ate. We had a lot of mac and cheese and hot dogs when we were little. It's not like you can just drive up to a farm and get a bunch of foods like year round. I think there are some farms around here where you can get like meat or vegetables and eggs, but it's not like getting access to just fresh food like that isn't very easy. Or you can go to like some of those more expensive stores that have like, the organic or fresh foods. But for the most part here, I feel like all of our food was packaged and, you just buy the food at the store and bring it home. So I remember we ate a lot of hot dogs, mac and cheese. We had, if you cooked stew, then we would have that. We always liked that. Then we had, what did we used to eat it with? We used to eat the semolina.
Semolina, at that time, At that time back in the
before we switched to pounded yam.
Then switched to pounded yam and switched,
Yeah. So.
But I think you loved the semolina more.
I did. I didn't want to switch. I didn't understand why we were doing it. I think it was healthier though, wasn't it? Yeah.
So it's
we had lots of hamburgers and hot dogs, and when we used to go down to your work, because my mom would drive us down there and drop us off, I think we would switch with you. Then we would stay at the office, and then my mom would go, I think, teach or something later at night. So we would always do McDonald's those nights.
If I had access to hamburgers when I was growing up, I would have loved to eat it too.
You would have loved it. I know. Seriously, you
loved
ate
it.
Whoppers like what,
Oh,
every
yeah.
day once you had them?
Oh yeah,
It's
so
mm-hmm.
when I tasted Whopper, I said, "Ooh, this is good."
And see, with
And
me, I didn't like them. With
yeah,
hamburgers, like they were okay, but I only
yeah.
liked them plain, and that was it. It wasn't like my favorite
When
though.
you were still a child,
So
by the time I tasted the hamburger, I had become a grown-up adult, who missed eating hamburger for years. So, and then I just made a new discovery. And then I pounced on this new discovery.
You did.
Yeah.
But you're not a picky eater though either. I was extremely picky as a child. I remember that too. I remember just looking at something, and if I didn't like the way it looked, if I thought it had a certain texture, then I just wouldn't eat it. Like, I was very picky. Were you picky?
Uh, no, when growing up, you had no choice to be picky.
You had no choice.
So now you ate it and be full, or you don't eat, then you starve.
Mm-hmm.
So you have no choice to be picky. Because there was not a whole lot of choices. So,
yeah.
So whatever was made and provided, you have to eat it. If you don't eat it, that is your own decision.
That's it.
Go to bed with empty stomach. So you have no choice. You just eat. So there was no issue of being picky at all.
Did you get in trouble a lot as a kid, or were you pretty well behaved?
That's a very loaded question.
But or did you just not get caught?
No, I don't think I got myself involved, in doing stuff that and I were out there. I think I was, but a child will always still be a child somehow, still be a child somehow. So, I'm not going to pretend that, okay, I was 100%
well behaved
child, something like that. And I will not say that, It's just that I cannot remember, things that maybe got me into got me in trouble with my parents. I can remember them now because it's so many years ago. But definitely, I was not a perfect child out there with
The one story I remember you told me was you hated taking medicine, and you still do. So, but you said when you were little, I think your mom tried to give you a pill or something. And instead of taking it, you pretended to swallow it, and then you just asked her to make you some rice. So I think she made you some food or something, and then you went and spit the pill out in the bush, and then you came back and ate, and you said you were better. I remember that, but you didn't get caught. So
no, I was not caught. So I was not caught because I hated, taking medicine.
Yeah.
And what I hated most was, medicine at that time were very bitter.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the bitter taste, and also so really bitter, and so and I hated swallowing, swallowing.
Yeah.
So you were right. My dad would give me the pill, and to swallow, I would pretend, I just pour water in my mouth and I pretend to put the pill in my mouth and just like I swallowed it. No, I didn't swallow it. I was still holding on to it like this. And then as soon as my dad walked away, and I just went and dumped the whole thing, somewhere in the bush. And then,
oh my goodness.
Then, pretended I had already taken it. And then my mom came around. So, are you hungry? I said, yeah, please make me, a bowl of rice. She made me a bowl of rice, and then I ate. And then the next time, I said, I'm well now. I'm okay now. And they thought it was a medicine that I took. No, I didn't take the medicine.
Oh my goodness.
That was one aspect of my childhood, which I said, that was definitely not perfect. I had my deficiency as a child, and just like every other children out there. So, yeah, that was an area. My
Yeah.
parents knew at that time, they would have disciplined me for that one.
Yeah, if they found out.
Definitely have discipline. I will give you this medicine. You're not taking the medicine. And you pretending you're dumping all this medicine.
I did the same thing too. Like if I didn't want to get in trouble with something, I would just hide it. But when I was little, I think I was really good at arguing my way out of getting in trouble. So I remember one time, I can't remember what we were fighting about. Because, like me, Rachel, Hannah, Elizabeth, we would always just like get into little fights about things that would happen during the day that really didn't matter. But I think it was a pair of pants that Rachel had wanted. So she like saw them first, I think, out of the pile of clothes that we'd gotten from somewhere, and then I said I wanted the pants or something. So then I think we went to you and my mom, and like we were presenting our case to you guys. And even though Rachel had seen it first and I took them from her, I argued and I argued and I argued, and then Rachel started crying and I just kept arguing. And then finally, I can't remember what it was. I think you just gave me the pants and then told us to just go somewhere and just leave because it wasn't a big deal. And I didn't get in trouble for that one because I argued my way out of it. So I did that a lot. I did that a lot. And I was little. But I don't know, I didn't really do anything like super crazy, I guess, when I was younger. I don't know. I don't really do anything super crazy, but I mean, you would know. You're not going to say anything bad about me on the podcast, I guess. I know that I didn't go to bed when I was little. Just like my son, I didn't want to go to sleep at night. So I know that was a struggle. I remember you and mommy just coming back in the room telling us, go to sleep, what are you doing? So when I was about Frederick's age, I would try to sneak out of bed, and all of our books were in a bookcase in the hallway. And, you know, you would just be watching TV or something late at night, and we were pretending to sleep. So I thought I was really sneaky. And I was like, so I told Rachel, I was like, Rachel, you're not sneaky. You just have to follow me, do what I do, and then we're going to sneak, go get some books and sneak back. And we thought we were being so quiet and so careful, like hiding behind this chair and trying to sneak to get to the books. And then you saw us the whole time. And I think it was when we were trying to sneak back to the room. Then you just called out and said, go to bed. And I was like, seriously, he saw us? We were being so sneaky. No, Frederick gets it from me.
Yeah.
I did not want to sleep when I was little.
Oh yeah, that was an issue.
I didn't,
that was a big issue.
No, I was just never tired. I remember just having so much energy.
And then you jumped out of your crib. You know how you climbed out of your crib. How you did that? No, I don't know. You just climbed out of your crib. And I said, and then you just showed up. So, I'm here.
Yeah, Frederick did the exact same thing to me. So.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think growing up, I went through that type of experience. When it was time to go to bed, it was time to go to bed, yeah, you parents, put me down to sleep, you lay down, and then you had to go to sleep.
Did you sleep by yourself in your own room, or did you share a room?
I can't maybe share a room with my siblings or something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were you always a light sleeper? Because I know now you're a light sleeper.
I can't remember. No.
Yeah.
And that time being many years ago, when I was as a child, you always want to sleep anyway. So
I didn't.
So there was no, yeah. You did not.
No.
I think I was not a light sleeper. I think I slept. Because you play so hard, during the day with other kids, and then with school, and then doing your chores also. I say I also had to do my chores as well. So at night time, you're really tired, and as a child you want to, go to, sleep. Because in the morning, and they wake you up, and then you have to be in school. You must never be late. Yeah, you don't have to be late to school.
So what would
and then
happen if you
again,
were late?
oh, you'll be disciplined, So
The
oh yeah,
teachers would discipline you.
oh yeah, yeah. There were school in those days. I don't know whether that has changed now, but first of all, we wore uniform. So
Oh, that's right. You did
yeah,
have a uniform.
and we wore uniform, and then it's expected that your uniform must be washed and ironed and very clean. So you came to school, you must, it's a must, you must have taken your shower, you must take a shower and brush your teeth.
They check. Oh my goodness.
Because before classes started, this is the way it happened, Before classes started, we had a band, and then in the elementary school we had a band, and then we had the band members that played the bands,
the drums,
the drum, and yeah, exactly. So if class time was supposed to be 8 o'clock, exactly 8 o'clock, the bell would go off, and then when that bell goes off, the band plays, and everyone lines up, the school lawn, the field, and the class by class, class by class. So you line up, and then when you line up, then teachers would walk through and conduct inspection.
Really?
Yeah.
Just inspect you head to toe?
Oh yeah, to inspect your clothes, to make sure that your clothes are clean and are not dirty. They are not muddy, and you took your shower, before you came to school. They inspect your nails to make sure.
Nails?
You have to stretch out your fingers like this to make sure that your nails are trimmed.
Oh my goodness.
You inspect your teeth. You have to open your teeth like this to make sure that your teeth were brushed before you came to school. They inspect your hair to make sure you comb your hair before you came to school.
Wow.
So they did all that inspection. If you failed, they sent you home.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they sent you home.
To go clean yourself up and come back.
Exactly. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. You clean yourself up before you come back to school. So it is after that is done, then the band plays again, then we all march into our different classrooms, and then the classes started.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Did you... Well, I guess you didn't really have any other option because that's just the way school was. Yeah. But obviously here things
But it brought that discipline to my childhood.
It really taught you to show up every day looking nice and...
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
You've got to, clean up and and also you can't just go to school just looking how you feel like looking.
Yeah.
Also give the opportunity to parents to make sure that they are taking care of their children very well before they send them to school.
Because here the only reason why they would send you home from school is if you just aren't dressed according to the dress code. Like that was really the only time I ever saw students get sent home. Because if they were wearing something that was like too revealing, or it was usually just girls, if they wore something that was too revealing, they would send them home to go change. The only time I ever saw a boy get sent home was he wore a toga. It's like, like in those like old Greek movies or something, like the sheet that they used to wrap around themselves and tie on their shoulder. So one boy thought it would be funny to have a toga day at school. So he came to school wearing nothing but a sheet wrapped around him, and the principal sent him home. But it wasn't right when he got there. Like, it was well after 2 classes, I think. They finally noticed and they sent him home. But otherwise, people would just show up to school, like, anyhow. And nobody ever inspected
Yeah,
expected us
yeah.
really like nobody did. It's different
But I don't
because
know whether that is
if it's
that's the
changed,
elementary school. That is not high school, by the way.
yeah.
It's not even the middle school.
Uh,
I'm talking about elementary school.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That this happened.
Well,
So,
even
but
elementary school
when I go
here,
to middle school, that did not happen. When I go to high school, that did not
uh,
happen.
just elementary
Just
school.
only elementary that this happened.
Well, I
Yeah.
guess they drill into your head when you're little, so
Yeah,
by the time when you're older, then it's not an issue
yeah,
because.
because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you middle school, high school, if they did that, I'm sure parents would have complained. My goodness, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
These are not children anymore. So
Uh-huh.
I mean, so
Uh-huh.
they wouldn't do that in middle school or high
Yeah.
school. That would have been
Yeah.
ridiculous. For them to do something like that. It's just the
Yeah.
childhood, little children,
Mm-hmm.
trying to.
Well,
You
they
know,
still don't do that at elementary school
yeah.
here. I mean, obviously, if a kid comes to school like very dirty for day after day after day after day and they start to notice that something's wrong, they might bring it up to the parents, but I don't know. It's different.
And I
It's,
don't know whether they still do that now because that was
yeah. Well, we're talking about,
many years ago.
yeah,
So
but we're comparing and
yeah,
contrasting then versus
and
then there versus here now.
yeah, and
So,
things would have changed,
yeah,
from year
yeah.
to year, as
Obvious, yeah.
technology is changing, human beings are changing, and
Mm-hmm.
also
Yeah, because
and culture is changing as well. So all
Yeah,
this would have changed.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
traveling now, to do inspection of little children in elementary school these days. Parents probably will be saying, "Oh no, you can't, do that anymore."
But
So maybe
it's a
something
good
like
thing
that.
though because like with Frederick now with going to school, it's nice that he has kind of a schedule and a routine because now he knows every night he has to shower, every morning he has to get dressed, he has to look nice for school. Like he knows. So now I noticed recently I don't really have to tell him when it's nighttime, he'll just go turn on the shower by himself now.
Yeah, it gave me
It's
something
like
to
he
look.
just knows. He
Yeah,
knows this is the
exactly.
routine. This is what
Because
I have to do.
exactly
Uh-huh.
that gave me something to look forward to. I know that when I woke up in the morning, I have to
Mhm.
take my shower, I have to brush my teeth, I have to make sure my nails were trimmed, and also
Yeah.
my hair is
Yeah.
combed, and my dress, what I would need to wear to school was ready.
Mhm.
So
And
and so
see,
I knew all that, and
and that's the thing I
look,
didn't like about homeschool. The thing that
yeah,
I didn't like about being homeschooled was not having any kind of schedule or routine because when we were doing homeschool, it was just kind of like we had certain tasks that had to get done within the span of like a few months or so when the teacher from the district would come and check on us to see like what our progress was. So, if we had assignments, we wouldn't do them every day if we didn't feel like it. Like when we were littler, smaller, obviously, my mom would do more like interactive stuff with us. But once we got a bit older, I think around the time of 8, when I was 8 years old, that's when I just kind of got assignments. And she was like, okay, just do this, and then just work through this on your own and then check to see if your answers are right or whatever, because you'd have the answer book too. And then the teacher from the district would come and then check and see how we were doing. So I didn't like that because, in the mornings, obviously I would wake up with Hannah early because Hannah had her little TV shows that she liked to watch. So Hannah would wake up at like 6 or something in the morning and we would have to watch like Teletubbies and Sesame Street. And then I would either like I might go back to bed or I might stay up depending on like if she was eating or not. Like Rachel would always sleep in. Rachel's not a morning person at all. And I was a morning person kind of, but I wasn't if I didn't get enough sleep. But anyways, I didn't like it because like I could stay in my pajamas all day if I wanted to, or I could get dressed. Didn't matter because most of the time we didn't like go anywhere. Especially not until we were a bit older. We did like unless we did like gymnastics or soccer or something where we left the house. But otherwise, like there was no routine or schedule or structure. So that's why when we started public school, I really liked that. Because, you had certain classes every day, you had certain assignments that you got to do. I was like excited when I got homework for the first time. And I was like disappointed when it really wasn't that difficult. But like, that's the thing. Not like I wish I could go back and change it, but I think it would have been like kind of nice to experience that a little bit older. But at least we got to do it in high school. And then, like Hannah, Rachel, Elizabeth, they got to do it earlier to like middle school. And then Hannah and Elizabeth did elementary school. Because I think that helps having that routine in place. Because, obviously when I was older than me and Rachel, anyways, we had to like learn that routine of getting yourself ready, having hygiene to go to school, looking nice to go places. Because I wouldn't dress up for school either. I mean, because I didn't dress up for homeschool, so I would just...
there was no homeschool, so there's not like homeschool. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they have homeschool now. I would really be surprised if they have a homeschool. I think what the school system now there is a lot of private schools
in Nigeria.
A lot of private schools.
Yeah.
In my childhood, it was just I think there was not like homeschool, for sure.
Yeah.
And the schools were not. I think they were missionary schools, either maybe Anglican, by the Anglican Church, or there was a relationship to some type of some type of missions.
Okay, so like Catholic, here, how the Catholics have their private schools, and there's a Christian private school.
Then you had the Anglican also, but it was not anything like
through the state or
through the state until probably high school and college, and then you start going into public institutions and also. But as far as the elementary schools were concerned, I think were mostly related to mission schools, So, but there was not like a homeschool.
Mission schools. So it's like, is it something that the missionaries came to set up, or is through the church? Like
through
the church just
through the church, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, through the church.
Okay, so it wasn't anything like outside of the country. It was just a religious institution.
Just through the church like that, yeah.
I see.
Most of the schools that I'm aware of, including ones I attended, and also.
Yeah.
But as you advance to middle school, high school, then now the whole thing was now becoming more public. There were still more private schools, quite all right, even with the high school, and even as they still are right now, quite all right. But then you have more public schools, as well, in addition to the private schools.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll have to talk about your experience in the Anglican Church too at some point in a different podcast. We'll have to go over that because that'll be fun to talk about with the different denominations that we've had experiences with.
So there was nothing like homeschool, so and it's like this year where there are homeschools and then there are private schools. And I think homeschool was a lot more popular back like in the 90s. Well, I guess I don't really know if there are a lot of parents who still do it now. I think so.
But is it as popular as it was though?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
Yeah.
I don't know. I should look that up and see if there's any kind of numbers. And now it would be different because, there's technology, so back then it was a lot of just workbooks and worksheets and paperwork, and now at least homeschoolers would have access to the internet anyways, so it won't be as sheltered, maybe. But I don't know, before we wrap up, is there anything else about your childhood that you remember or that you'd like to talk about?
There will always be one thing or the other. So
yeah.
I can think of right now. Yeah.
If you remember anything, remind me and we'll bring it up in another podcast.
That's fine. Yeah, that'll be fine.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching and for listening. Remember to follow us, to subscribe, to turn on notifications based on the platform you're listening on or watching on. Take care, and we'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye.
Goodbye.